Welcome to the Mind Fuck Podcast. Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for taking time out to hang out with me. I am uber grateful and excited you're here today. um, my name is Wanu Alishe, and sometimes I do go by Amazing Soul. Welcome to the Mind Fuck Podcast. FCK stands for fun, compassion, and kindness. Now, on the Mindfuck podcast, we essentially talk about nervous system regulation, how to start to feel safe in our bodies, creating trust between our brain, our bodies, and over time start to remember parts of ourselves that we may have forgotten along the way. We also have a little tradition that we do before the actual episode where I read a list that I titled Reminders to Being Human. Now, the intention with reading that list every time is to remind myself and also in the hopes of reminding you on your journey. All right. Reminders to being human. Have fun along the journey. Show yourself compassion. Be kind to others. Being complex and being simple can hold true in the same breath. Stay curious. Hold space for pauses. Hold space for not knowing. Never underestimate the power of silence. Nature has a lot of wisdom. Pay attention. There is power in we than I. If nothing else makes sense, come back to love. Pain is our greatest teacher. And the very last one, never underestimate your ripple of existence. Yay! Welcome once again to the My Fun Podcast. Now let's get into the fun part of the show. Okay, all right. I want you to picture something simple. It's late at night, you're in bed, the lights are off, you have your phone in your hand. You told yourself you were just going to check one thing, just one. But now it's been 25 to 30 minutes. You've checked your messages, your email, maybe Instagram, maybe nothing even happened, but something in your body feels off. It's not loud, it just feels tight. Your chest feels a little heavy. Your thoughts start moving faster than your body. And then it begins. You start to tell yourself, did I say something wrong earlier? Or why did they respond to that message like that? Or wait, what if they're upset with me? Or even, why am I even like this? And now you're not just in your bed anymore, you're in a full blown spiral. Today on the podcast, I want to talk to you about that moment, that exact moment. Not the big breakdown, not the full anxiety wave, but the very start of that moment. Because most people miss it there. The spiral in your mind doesn't usually start loud. It actually starts small, quiet, almost reasonable. For example, you send a text message to someone and they don't reply, and your mind immediately says, maybe they're just busy, right? That's fine. That's grounded, right? But then another thought comes in after that, and you tell yourself, oh, maybe they're ignoring me. And instead of letting that thought simply pass, you follow that thought. Now, what do you do then? Now you're checking the last message you sent and you're rereading it like 10 to 20 times again. Then reading that person's tone from a message they probably sent last week. Then remembering something from 2 months ago. Now your brain starts to build a story. Now, here's the part that most people don't realize. Your mind isn't trying to hurt you. No, I always say this all the time, my friend. Your mind is simply trying to protect you, just in a way that no longer helps you anymore. Now, for me, I learned this the very hard way. There was a time in my life, especially after I transitioned out of the army, where my mind would constantly spiral. And I remember one specific night. I was sitting on my couch, the TV was on, but I wasn't even watching the TV. I had sent a message to someone I cared about, just a simple message. It wasn't anything deep. And they didn't reply immediately. I mean, 10 minutes went by, 20 minutes went by, an hour went by, 3 hours went by, and I could start to feel it starting in my chest. That tight feeling, like something was building slowly. And I remember my mind started doing what it does best. The thoughts in my mind were, maybe they're pulling away, or Wanu, maybe you said too much, right? Now, and I followed every single of those thoughts like it was truth. That's what I did back then. And before I knew it, I had created a full story in my head about them, about me, and about the future. None of that was confirmed, but all of it felt real in my body. That night, I didn't sleep well, not because something actually happened, no, but because my mind had created something that felt like it happened. And this is what spiraling does. It takes possibility and turns it into certainty. So let's slow this down for a minute, right? Because I want you to see this very clearly with me, my friend. A spiral usually has three parts, not in a complicated way, just in a very human way. The very first part of a spiral, there's a trigger, something small. It might be a text, it might be a look from someone else, it might be a delayed response, it might be a mistake. A trigger is the very first one. The second one, there is a thought that follows the trigger. This is usually quick. It's usually subtle. Something like something's off, right? And the third one, there is the attachment, right? This is where everything changes. Now, because the moment you attach to the thought, you start building a story in your mind. And once you start building a story in your mind, your body automatically joins what your brain is doing on automatic loop. Now, what happens to your body? Your chest tightens, your breathing changes, your stomach starts to feel weird, and now your body's saying, oh yeah, this must be real, right? So now you're stuck in a loop. So it's your thoughts, your body, more thoughts, more body reaction. And that loop goes on and on. That's a spiral, my friend. On and on. Now, I'm not going to tell you to just stop thinking. That's not realistic. That doesn't work. You've probably tried that and you saw that it doesn't work, right? What I want to show you is something way simpler, my friend. Something you can do in the exact moment you notice the spiral starting. Now, let's go back to that night, right? That I explained to you earlier on. Same couch, same message, same no reply, same tight feeling in my chest. But this time, instead of following the thoughts that came up in my mind, I did something different. I paused, right? Not dramatically, I just paused. I simply put my phone down, right? And I said to myself, something is happening in my body right now. That's what I said to myself. I didn't tell myself what's wrong with me. I didn't tell myself, why is the other person doing this? I just said, something is happening in my body. Then I did something that felt almost too simple. I just noticed the sensation. Excuse me. I noticed the tightness in my chest. I noticed the slight tension in my jaw. I noticed the way my breathing had changed. I noticed my heartbeat. And I stayed with that sensation and that awareness for maybe 30 seconds, then a minute, then a little longer. And my mind kept pulling me back. And the thought that was going on in my mind was, yeah, but what if? Yeah, but remember when? And each time my mind kept pulling me back, I gently came back to, I'm just noticing this feeling. That's it. No fixing, no solving, no trying to analyze the thoughts, just noticing what my mind was doing in real time. That's all I did. And something subtle started to happen. It wasn't instantly, but gradually over time. The intensity that I used to feel in my chest area started to drop. Not completely, but enough. And that space, my friend, that small space was everything. Because for the very first time, I didn't become the spiral. I simply watched it. And that's the shift. Not controlling your mind, not fighting your thoughts, but interrupting the attachment your mind is attaching to the thoughts in real time. Let me give you another everyday moment, right? You wake up in the morning, your alarm goes off, you didn't sleep well, right? And before your feet even touches the floor, your mind says, the very first thought, your mind says, damn, you're already behind, right? And usually that one thought alone can set the entire tone of your entire day. You rush, you start to rush, you start to feel off, and you carry that energy from that one thought everywhere throughout your day. But what if in that exact moment, you gave yourself permission to do something different? Instead of following the thought, you pause, right? You sit up, you put your feet on the floor, and just feel your feet on the ground for a few seconds. Just notice the sensation on the ground for a few seconds. Notice the room like you're looking at it for the first time. Just notice your breath for a few seconds. Even if this whole activity that you do is just for 20 seconds, that's it. What you're doing in that moment is not fixing your day. No, you're interrupting the spiral in your mind before it builds up so it could set the tone for your day, right? Another example, you're at work, you make a small mistake, right? And immediately your mind says, damn, that was stupid. Or your mind says, why do you always do this, right? And now the spiral kicks in, the spiral starts. Instead, you can choose to pause, and feel your hands, feel your body in the chair, and just take one slow breath, right? And you can say to yourself, I am simply noticing this thought. Not, I am that thought. No, just noticing the thought. That small shift, my friend, it creates a distance, it creates space. And that distance and that space gives you a choice. Because here's the truth most people don't say clearly. You don't control the first thought that comes to your mind in the morning, but you have influence over what happens next, right? And that's where your power is. Now, my friend, I want to be honest with you. This does not mean the spirals will disappear overnight. No, no, no. There were days on my journey, even after I had learned this, where I still spiraled hard. There were days where I followed every thought and built every possible story you can think of. I felt every emotion with the story like it was happening in real time to me, right? But the difference was I started catching it sooner, right? Instead of being 30 minutes deep in a spiral, I will catch it at the 10-minute mark. Then it reduces to like the 5-minute mark. Then sometimes right at the beginning of the spiral. Like I always say, my friend, it takes time. And over time, that changes everything. Because you're no longer living inside the spiral. You're becoming someone who can see it happening. You're just observing it. And when you can see it, my friend, you're not trapped in it the same way. So the next time you have a spiral, next time this happens, and it will, I don't want you to aim for perfection. No. I just want you to remember this. I want you to pause. I want you to notice. And I want you to name what's happening in your body real time. That's the invitation for today. That's it. Pause, notice, name what's happening in your body. That's it. This is not to fix it. This is not to figure it out. No, this is not to make the spiral stop. No. Just pause, notice. Right. That's all you got to do. Because in that moment, you're telling your body something new. You're telling your body, I don't have to follow every thought. And the more you practice this, my friend, in small, everyday, ordinary moments, right? There's less power the spiral in your mind has over you. That's the power of awareness. That's the power of noticing. Not because your mind changed overnight. No, because your relationship with the spiral changed. So I'm going to leave you with this, my friend, right? The next time your mind starts spiraling and you feel that familiar pull, right? Can you catch it? Not at its peak, but at the start, and choose just for one moment to stay with yourself instead. As always, I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you so much for taking time to listen. I'm sending you so much love from my heart to yours. Thank you.